good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone around the world in attendance. Thank you so much for joining us for Global Cleveland 2021 International Sister Cities Conference. My name is Fareed Siddiq, and I'm a member of the board of directors of Global Cleveland. Before I begin, I'd like to thank the sponsors who are critical in making this conference happen. Sweatlock, Medical Mutual, Platform, Brewery, Irish, The Links, Inc., Corner 65, Us Together, 12 Literary Arts. Today, I'm pleased to introduce our international children's book, Ready. We will hear 3 New York University Abu Dhabi students read their children's book, Where is Our Home?, followed by a guided discussion and audience question and answers. Global Cleveland is proud to be a host of our 3rd annual Sister City Conference. This conference celebrates the partnership and connection that the city of Cleveland has built with our sister cities via economic and cultural exchange. Cleveland has held the door open to newcomers for generations, and over the last 57 years, 23 global cities have joined the journey. Cleveland's sister city relationship broaden our perspective and possibilities. We are excited to announce that our next year, our 4th annual Sister Cities Conference will be held in person during the week of October 17th, which is, by the way, one of the best time of the year to be in Cleveland. We cordially invite you to all to join us next year in person to experience the wonderful conference together and enjoy all the delights of Cleveland has to offer. Today, we are also encourage you to take a chance on broadening your horizons by participating in a chance to win a trip to Italy in partnership with Italian Tours by Diana to celebrate our 10th anniversary. The lucky winner will get to travel to our Italian sister city, Vicenza, Italy. Italian Tours by Diana is a boutique travel agency in Rocky River, Ohio, focused on crafting custom journey to Italy and Europe. The 8-day Italian journey will introduce you to Vicenza, Venice, Florence, and Rome, and many beautiful destinations in between. You can purchase your tickets on our website, globalcleveland.org. By the way, I bought a ticket also, so wish me luck. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our moderator for this session, the beautiful Elizabeth Kuzma. Elizabeth is a Global Cleveland Program Director and holds a great passion for immigrant integration and building international connection. Elizabeth, it's all yours.
Thank you, Fareed. That was a very nice introduction. We appreciate you and all your service to Global Cleveland. So we are here today. This is a particular favorite part of Sister Cities for me because not only do I love books, but as a child, I loved reading. And so I am going to let Ian and Sarah introduce themselves and then begin the reading. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ian Hoyt. I am an alumni at NYU Abu Dhabi, and I am a co-author of the book that we will be reading today, Where is Our Home? It's a bilingual book in English and Arabic designed for children, and it is the product of lots of hours of hard work on behalf of all of us. My co-author Malak is trying to join at the moment, so hopefully she can get here. Yeah. Very pleased to be here, and I'll pass it off to Sarah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah, and I am currently a Hillary Clinton Global Challenges Scholar from Swansea University, but previously I studied my undergraduate at New York University Abu Dhabi, and I was part of Elevated, which is the student club on education at NYU Abu Dhabi. And I did a double major in public policy and theater there, and was kind of one of the co-leaders of the publication of this book that you will learn about very soon.
Thank you, Sarah. Malak is in and out, so I'm sure she'll come back in and we'll have her. So Ian, are you going to read?
So the book is half in English and half in Arabic. So the plan was to have me read the English sections and Malak would read the Arabic sections.
Okay.
So hopefully if Malak can stay on, then we should be able to, I'll read the English first, and then she can follow with reading the Arabic sections, assuming that all of that works out. So this is our book, and I will be reading from it. And yeah.
Okay, let's begin.
I will begin with the title,
Okay.
which is Where is Our Home?
Ian, sorry, do you want me to try if I share the screen so people see the illustrations?
Oh, that would be lovely, actually.
Okay,
Yes.
let me try to do that. Hopefully it will work. Let's see. Am I sharing now? No, I don't think it's working. It's not working, so I guess we can just start with the reading.
Yeah, and Ian, you
All right.
you can hold the book up to show page by page, like you do when you're in a classroom in front of first graders.
Okay, then. So, dedication to those who wonder where home is.
Okay, Sada, we see it now. Thank you.
Great, okay.
Okay. Child. Mommy and Daddy, where was your home before? I don't think Malak will be joining for the Arabic version, so I think we'll just on to the next page. Mom. My first home was in Cairo. I lived in the shadow of the pyramids.
I'm here.
Very happy.
Okay. الأم. أول منزل لي كان في القاهرة. كنت أعيش في ظلال الأهرامات. كنت في غاية السعادة.
Dad. My first home was in Beijing. I ran across the Great Wall every day. It made me very happy.
Dad. الأب. أول منزل لي كان في بكين. كنت أركض عبر سور الصين العظيم كل يوم. كنت في غاية السعادة.
Mom. My second home was in the Amazon jungle. I got to swing from trees like a monkey. It made me very happy.
الأم. منزلي الثاني كان في غابة الأمازون. كنت أتراجع على أغصان الأشجار كما يفعل القردة. كنت في غاية السعادة.
In absence of a visual aid, I'll continue reading from my copy. Dad. My second home was in Antarctica. My best friend was a penguin. They made me very happy.
الأب. منزلي الثاني كان في أنتاركتيكا. صديقي المفضل كان البطريق. كنت في غاية السعادة.
Ian, you can just read the next page.
Okay, great. Mom, my third home was in Paris. I climbed up the Eiffel Tower every day. It made me very happy.
الأم: منزلي الرابع كان في باريس. كنت أتسلق على برج إيفل كل يوم. كنت في غاية السعادة.
Dad, my third home was on the top of Kilimanjaro. I lived above the clouds. It made me very happy.
الأب: منزلي الثالث كان في قمة جبل كليمنجارو. كنت أعيش فوق الغيوم. كنت في غاية السعادة.
Mom, my home was in Istanbul. I had a Turkish delight every day. It made me very happy.
الأم: منزلي الرابع كان في إسطنبول. كنت أتناول راحة الحلقوم كل يوم. كنت في غاية السعادة.
Dad, my fourth home was in Muscat. I picked dates from palm trees every day. It made me very happy.
الأب: منزلي الرابع كان في مسقط. كنت ألتقط التمر من الشجرة النخيلة كل يوم. كنت في غاية السعادة.
Mom, my fifth home was in Jaipur. I showered with elephants. It made me very happy.
الأم: منزلي الخامس كان في جيبور. كنت أستحمى مع الفيلة. وكنت في غاية السعادة.
Dad, my fifth home was in Melbourne. I rode Roo. It made me very happy.
الأب: منزلي السادس كان في ملبورن. كنت أركب في غيب الكونغر كل يوم. كنت في غاية السعادة.
Mom and Dad, our sixth home was here. That's where we met each other and got you, your sister, and the cat. We are now very happy.
الأم والأب: منزلنا السادس هنا حيث التقينا أنا وأمك وأجنبناك أنت والقطة. نحن الآن في غاية السعادة.
Child, where will our next home be?
الابن: أين سيكون منزلنا الثاني؟
Mom and Dad, we don't know, but it will be with you, and that makes us very happy.
الأم والأب: لا نعرف، ولكننا نعرف أنه سيكون معك، وذلك يجعلنا في غاية السعادة.
And that is, where is our home?
Excellent. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I'd like it if you could share with us a little bit about the process of writing the book, and if any of you would call yourself a writer, and if you know, what it meant to you to work and produce this book.
I think that's a very packed couple of set of questions, and I can answer some of them pretty personally. The first one about the process, Ian and I were first approached by Elevated, which is the student group at New York University in Abu Dhabi, and they were looking for writers who are interested to write a children's book. And personally, I was like, yeah, of course, I'd love to. And then we kind of started brainstorming, what does this book mean to us as a community, but also what kind of messages do we want to portray? And I remember Ian came up with all of these brilliant ideas, and we were just like, we want to do all of them. And then we started to narrow down the topic, and we found that something we have in relationship with that, with the readers of the book, or the potential readers of the book, was the concept of home. Since all of our students from the university are coming from different places around the world, and we constantly ask ourselves, like, who are we? What are we doing here? And we have all these existential questions. And so we sat down and we started to brainstorm what the book will have, and then we came up with this final product, both in Arabic and in English, which was, and now it seems very simple, but it took us a lot of time to kind of go with the producing of it and then go with the translation and all of that. In terms of the second question, I feel like I've always wanted to call myself a writer, but I feel like I'm on the path potentially to getting there. I'm doing my master's in children's literature now, so I know for a fact that this is something that I'm passionate about and it's what I want to do. And I think that book kind of took me a step closer towards that path. And then I'll leave it to my colleagues to answer the rest of the questions, I guess.
Thank you.
Following up on the concept of being a writer, I am not getting a master's in children's literature. I am working with water issues, and that's the thing that is most interesting to me and where I'm taking my career. But at the same time, I think a writer is someone who writes. That there is absolutely value to having that as your career, and we need people like that. But for anyone who's watching, who is, shy about their love for writing or their interest in writing, I would say that being a writer means that you write and that's it. That if you have something that you want to share for yourself or for other people and you put that in words, then you are a writer. We wrote a book that has 10 pages and is mostly illustrations, and we're writers. I would encourage you all that don't let the label of am I a writer or am I not a writer get in the way of your writing, because writing is the most important thing.
Thank you. Okay, we'll see if Sada unfreezes here shortly. I wanted to ask you, how did you come up with the locations that the mom and the dad and then the family lived in?
The locations, we wanted to have a really diverse range of places. That we wanted to have locations from all around the world. We wanted to have locations that would be well known enough that the parents or the children would have some familiarity, and that would lend really vibrant imagination. And so in Antarctica, people don't live in Antarctica, but we wanted the image of Antarctica, of having a friend who is a penguin, of something that's delightful and fantastic, that can really capture the imagination, because that's really what we wanted our book to accomplish, beyond just, this broader message about home and family. We also wanted it to just be fun, one. So I think that was the main way that we decided. I don't know, this was probably 3 years ago that we had this. So if Malak, if you have any more precise memories than me, I'd appreciate that if you could share.
I think one more point I want to add is I think we were going for something that we can find adventure in all of these locations. So we wanted things that would create a sense of that adventure and create questions for children. So when children, see the example of Antarctica, they're like, what is that? Where is that? Who lives there? And I think that drives conversations. And I think that's really important in a children's book, because it encourages readers to kind of go beyond the pages and expand their imagination, like what Ian said as well.
Absolutely.
Sorry, do you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. Let me take advantage of the fact that I'm here now. I wanted to answer the third question that you asked about kind of what this project is about. And I think apart from being a children's book in itself and a work of art, it's also a project that we did in collaboration with an organization called We Love Reading. And they promote literacy education for children and youth now in 50 countries, but they started in Jordan. So we get to know them through Global Ties for Children, which does work on refugee literature in New York. through a professor at our university. And we wanted to do a project that will impact a community and that will we will be engaging beyond the boundaries of our university. So that's how we started working with this organization. And the final result was this book that is part of a series of workshops that this organization is giving in Jordan. And we managed to publish 3,000 copies for 3,000 families / children. And the good thing of the project is that we're not only handling a physical book, but also a workshop with people that are trained that are bilingual literacy in Jordan. And that is also about building community, because it's not only for refugee children in Jordan, but also for children who are part of this community workshops, some privileged, some underprivileged, which is a great way of building community. So that's kind of the background story of project, of what we did at NYU Abu Dhabi.
Thank you. Earlier on a panel, we talked about creating shared experiences to build empathy, so that as we move around the world, as we meet new people, we can reserve judgment, and we can look at them with dignity, no matter where they're from, if they're like us or not like us. And obviously, one great thing about children's books are that they help us to see the world in a little bit of a different way. And I wanted to ask if any of you grew up with bilingual books in your home, or books in different languages in your home.
Yeah, I want to comment on that. I think I feel very close to multilingual books because as a child, I woke up in a predominantly Arabic-speaking country. I grew up in Egypt and the United Arab Emirates. My parents spoke to me in Arabic. Everyone around me was speaking
Yes.
Arabic. But I think Sarah's having a bit of difficulty there, but it's okay. I know she has a lot to add about that as well. But everything I was learning in school was in English. So all my education was in English, the books I was reading in English. And so there was a time in my life where I felt very misrepresented in these books. And that's why I kind of want to get into this now, because there are not a lot of multilingual books or bilingual books that support or represent children the way we want them to be represented. And I feel like there's a gap there that really needs to be met, specifically for minority children who are speakers of one language but find themselves refugees in another country with a whole other language, or that end up migrating because of their family's work or for all sorts of different reasons. So it is our responsibilities as writers or as people who care about children's literacy or education in general to make these books available for them, with topics that are not just about war or crime or our differences or all of these things, which I feel is the essence kind of the message in our book, is that it's not only about moving and being a refugee, but it's also about adventure. It's also about fun. It's also about discovery. Yeah. I wish Sarah can add, because I know she has a lot to say about it.
I don't know. Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yes. So I'm from Venezuela, and I grew up in a Spanish-speaking household and also country. But when I was 4 years old, my parents moved for a while to the United States. So then we started reading some books in English, though I don't think I ever kind of internalized. My parents said that when I was little, I would speak better English, and then later on, I kind of forgot. But then when I was back in high school in India, I kind of restarted reading more in English. But I think those books that stayed at home, and we would read, and my parents would read to us every night, either in Spanish or in English. And something that I think is beautiful about children's book is that it's not only about the text, but it's also about the illustrations, and those are universal in many ways. I have images of books that I loved when I was a child, and what I remember the most were the images. So yeah, now like growing up, I also read plays in English and in Spanish.
Those were great points that Sada made. Ian, do you want to go next?
I grew up in a mono, unlike my peers here. And so I didn't have that personal experience, but from being in the university, the college that we were at in NYU in Abu Dhabi, being surrounded by language was a part of the experience there, of people speaking in whatever language would be a common denomination. So people who spoke Spanish speaking Spanish together, people who spoke French speaking French together, people who spoke Hindi speaking Hindi together. And that was a part of the community. And it was so clear how much language is the gateway to relationship and to empathy in many ways, as you brought up earlier. That if you're able to understand someone's language, you can understand a certain part of them that's untranslatable. And the effort of learning a language requires learning so much more than the vocabulary and the grammar. It requires understanding basic amounts of the culture. You understand so much more than just what is you communicate on the page. And so I think that having multilingual literature is incredibly important because it opens the door for so many relationships and so much empathy that wouldn't have existed otherwise.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Mala, can you tell me about the illustrations, about who made those and how that part happened?
Absolutely. So we had a process where we wrote the script first, and then we passed it on to an illustrator who was named David, and he illustrated them by hand, which was, for me, it was like, wow, like what is happening? And then he kind of did his magic with digitalizing the process and then creating them on the page. But I think it was very, there was a conversation between us to kind of, there's always like an unsaid relationship between authors and illustrators. They kind of get each other. And I think that was very successful in our book because both Ian and I had a vision and he kind of made it come to life through the illustrations, and the words and the pictures speak together, which I think is very beautiful as well.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm wondering, have you heard feedback from some of the students who've read your book? Like what have they thought? Sada, do you want to go?
We haven't heard feedback from the children, but we heard from the organization, and the workshops are happening, and I think they're being distributed. I think also the COVID-19 pandemic meant that a lot of these workshops have been transitioning into some sort of virtual environment. So that has also been a challenge with the organization. But yeah, that's the extent of the feedback that we have received. Hopefully, that's actually a great point. Hopefully, we'll hear from the children themselves. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So another question, maybe for Malik, as you're studying children's literature, what's your favorite children's book? Actually, we could just have that for everybody. What's your favorite book from when you were a kid?
I think one of my favorite books as a kid was Peter Pan, and then I grew up and then I realized that it is very problematic in many ways. And then I think a lot of the like Alice in Wonderland and all these children's books that I was reading, I grew up and now I'm learning about them, about that some of them may not be as child friendly as we think they are. So yeah, I'll just leave it at there, and I'm so curious to hear about the rest.
I think my first like proper book that became my favorite book when I was a child was The Phantom Tollbooth. That way that language, both for the child as they're like learning to explore all of these new idioms and curves and this adventure, but also I think for the parents, because the parents who have a lot more time with language and a lot more life experience can also find delight in it. And so I think for me, that was my favorite book because my parents enjoyed reading it as much as I did. And that has a lot of really treasured memories for me. And so I think that just because something can be written for children doesn't mean it also can't be written for adults as well. And I think that's true of the Phantom Tollbooth.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I have two children, 11 and 9, and they're both boys. And probably 4 or 5 years ago, they started reading the Captain Underpants series. And I don't know, Malik, do you know? Okay. So when I was a kid, I refused to read them because I was like, why do I want to read a book about this? But my brother loved them. And as an adult now, reading them with my children, Dav Pickley, in fact, was the child who wrote comics in school and got in trouble for them. He makes references to classical literature all the time in the books. Every book is actually a play on words on a book like For Whom the Bell Tolls, for example. And you learn a lot in the books, from science to, really all. So again, going on that point where books can be written at many levels and enjoyed at many levels, and not to judge a book by its cover. So, and in terms of, I studied Arabic in college, and not having used it for several years, I will say that the Arabic level in this book is, it's a great way of learning a second language if you're a student. It's also, a great way there are many ESL programs that incorporate books like this for parents and children together learning a language. So those are some applications of books like this that I've seen here in the US. Malik, I'm not sure from your perspective, sort of if you see Arabic as like your heart language, your home language, if you see English as your functional language, maybe talk a little bit about how that is for you.
I think you really hit me with the one question of like my existential crisis, because that's like a battle in me, because Arabic is the language that I feel in, but English is the language that I write and feel comfortable speaking in. I don't even know how that makes sense. But if I would write in my journal, I would write in English. If I would speak with my best friend about a feeling that I'm feeling a lot deeply, I would just say it in Arabic, because I won't feel it as much in English. But I agree with you. Growing up, I learned both languages simultaneously. And in so many ways, the English helped me understand the Arabic more, just because I was learning it in school. So I know it's abstract, but I think a lot of kids who grew up with this multilingual environment have similar feelings to mine, I think. And I think Sarah as well. She lived in so many different places, and she spoke many different languages. And
she
all
said
that.
She went to high school in India. I heard that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. She's a traveler, and I think she went to different places. And a lot of the community at NYU in Abu Dhabi, they were the same. So their parents were like one thing. One parent is one thing. One parent is one thing. But they grew up in this place, and now they speak this language, and so they think and feel and write in 5 different languages. Which I find to be completely fascinating.
Yes. And I also like how in every page, you're somewhere different, but you can still be happy. That even though things are different, you can still find things that bring you joy. And you didn't mention the things that maybe make you sad. Leaving a friend or leaving something, or not having something or having a certain struggle. You just focused on what brings you joy, which I think is, Malik, how you were saying, showing sort of the characters and representing the children the way we want to do it, as opposed to some of the other ways children are represented in books. That was a point that was very strongly, that came across very strongly. I think that this idea of you can be happy no matter where you are, because if you're with people who love you, you're always home.
absolutely. And I think another point to build on that in the structure of the book, when we were planning it, we wanted to have lots of repetition in the book, because when you're learning a language, when you're really young, having things that are repeated is really helpful for learning the words. And so, especially when you're reading it with a parent or someone else, the parents start reading at one stage and then the child can start taking over because they recognize the patterns and they recognize, oh, this line ends with the same word and I can say that word. Even if it's just listening and repeating it, that then becomes a way of learning, of identifying a connection to the language. And so we really wanted to find the common ground between this like learning tool of repetition, but then also the commonality of different spaces, even when they might seem different in a lot of ways.
Let's see if Sara, do you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, sorry for the technical difficulties. So I resonate with something that Malak said about that I also feel in Spanish, which is my mother tongue, but I now think mostly and I write a lot in English.
It really, as amazing as the internet is, we're not quite there yet.
English. I study in English, and that's silence is also good. And my colleagues here are adding great stuff. So yeah, internet.
Thank you, Sara. And Ben, or Ian, I don't know why I said Ben. Ian, like you said, that repetition, I can remember as a child knowing Go Dogs Go by heart. And so it's like 70 pages long. It's actually an incredibly long book, even if there's only 6 words on the page. And I can remember if my dad skipped a page because like you haven't memorized, right? And it's that comfort of this is part of a ritual, right? This is something that you do. This is, a bonding time. And I can see that book. And so you guys are going to read this book to your children, right? One day.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
They're going to memorize it. But I'm going to have them memorize that book.
I hope my children will read Malak and Ian. So,
Inshallah.
Yeah. One day. Yeah. I guess now that like we're having some internet issues, one reason why having hard copies was so important to us is because for some of the children and the families that this book was
I think I know what she's trying to say, so I'll bridge it until she comes back. A lot of the families that we were addressing don't necessarily have access to digital books or to internet. I think that's the point she was trying to make. And so that was why it was really important for us to make sure these copies were made and sent.
It's designed for, they don't always
have internet, right? So here in the States, we have a program. Dolly Parton. I don't know if you know this. Started a program where she sends you a book a month until you're 5, from the time you're born until you're 5, and you can sign up for it, and it's free, and you will get a book a month. And it's her way of directly addressing child literacy issues, lack of libraries. Maybe not the ability to buy books in the home. It's a phenomenal program. Okay, well, so we had invited several sets of classrooms to attend today. I don't know if any of them were able to log on, but I would be interested in trying to get this book in our public library system here, which all CMSD students get a library card as part of going to school. and they visit the library downtown and different places around where their schools are. And so moving forward, when students read this book, I will try to collect feedback and send it to you.
Thank you. Yes.
And I'd like maybe for them to write their own version of Where is Our Home? Wouldn't that be interesting? Mm-hmm.
That would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Malak and Ian and Sara, for your work on this book, your current endeavors to make the world a better place through your own gifts and talents. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate you taking time, despite challenges, to stay with us. And we will be in person next year. If you know other authors who would like to come, if you know people who want to come to Cleveland, we do have 24 sister cities. We are going to be in person, and we invite anyone who's interested in the conference to either join virtually, because we'll have it'll be streamed, but then also we'll be here in person. We have a beautiful library. We're hosted in the library today, despite my backdrop. But we have a 150-year-old library that actually started out with a collection in Middle East literature, was the foundation of the library 150 years ago. So we encourage you to visit, and you'll always have a home here in Cleveland.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon. Well, for me, afternoon, probably later for you.
Thank you. It's so beautiful.
Take
Bye.
care. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.